Donald Trump's victory had a profound impact on technology companies, both positive and negative. On one hand, his administration's push for deregulation allowed giants like Amazon and Google to operate with fewer restrictions, boosting their growth. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provided them with significant savings, fueling innovation and expansion. However, the flip side was increased scrutiny. Antitrust investigations ramped up, putting pressure on these companies as concerns over monopolistic behavior grew. Trump's contentious relationship with social media platforms sparked debates over content moderation and Section 230, leaving companies vulnerable to government influence. Additionally, his immigration policies restricted access to skilled talent, a critical resource for tech innovation. So, while the environment was ripe for growth, it also came with challenges that shaped the tech landscape in unexpected ways. The impact of Donald Trump's victory on technology companies such as Twitter, Facebook, Amazon, Google, and others can be viewed from both positive and negative perspectives, depending on how specific policies and market reactions played out during his tenure. Positive effects. Deregulation. Trump's administration favored deregulation, which could be beneficial for large tech companies. For example, less stringent regulations around data privacy, antitrust issues, and content moderation could have allowed these companies to operate more freely without the fear of heavy government interference. Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, 2017. The tax cuts provided significant savings for corporations, including tech companies. Large companies like Amazon and Google benefited from lower corporate taxes, which increased profits and potentially led to more investment in innovation and infrastructure. Pro-business environment. Trump's policies were often viewed as pro-business, which may have created a favorable environment for tech companies to thrive. Reduced corporate taxes and an emphasis on business-friendly policies encouraged growth in sectors, including technology. International trade and technology expansion. Trump's trade policies, particularly his tough stance on China, led to some tech companies expanding operations and diversifying supply chains. For instance, U.S. tech companies might have benefited from a shift away from Chinese dominance in areas like telecommunications and tech manufacturing. Stock market performance. The overall stock market boomed under Trump, and large tech companies like Amazon, Facebook, and Google saw substantial growth in their stock prices during his presidency. This period of financial prosperity helped bolster their valuations and investment capabilities. Negative effects. Increased scrutiny and antitrust investigations. Trump's presidency did not lead to a significant decrease in antitrust investigations or scrutiny of big tech companies. In fact, some argued that tech giants like Facebook, Google, and Amazon were facing more pressure on issues like monopolistic behavior. The Department of Justice and the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, launched investigations into some of the major tech players, especially concerning concerns around data privacy, market power, and anti-competitive behavior. Trump's conflict with tech platforms. President Trump often criticized social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook for censoring content, leading to debates over Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which provides immunity to online platforms from user-generated content. Some proposed changes to Section 230 under his administration, which could have affected how companies moderate content. Content moderation and censorship. Trump's stance on social media content moderation, especially after his ban from Twitter and Facebook following the January 6th Capitol riots, led to tension between his administration and tech companies. The increased focus on the role of social media platforms in promoting or moderating content could have made tech companies like Twitter and Facebook more vulnerable to governmental influence and legal challenges. Some policies aimed at curbing misinformation or restricting content, particularly in the wake of the 2020 election, put tech companies in the crosshairs for balancing freedom of speech with regulation, potentially leading to both political and consumer backlash. Immigration policies and talent acquisition. Trump's immigration policies restricted the flow of skilled labor from abroad, which negatively affected tech companies that relied on international talent, especially in areas like software engineering, data science, and research. Silicon Valley and other tech hubs saw reduced access to highly skilled workers from countries like India and China. Visa restrictions and a more challenging environment for H-1B workers were seen as setbacks for the technology sector, which relies heavily on immigrant talent. Global trade tensions. Trump's trade war with China, including tariffs and restrictions on Chinese technology companies, had mixed impacts on U.S. tech companies. While some companies like Apple and Google initially benefited from moving some production away from China, trade barriers could have disrupted the global supply chain, impacting the cost structure and competitiveness of U.S. tech companies. Companies like Google, Facebook, and Amazon, which have large international footprints, had to navigate growing global tensions and concerns about government actions in different countries. In summary, while the Trump administration's policies often favored a business-friendly environment, reduced regulation, and tax cuts, tech companies also faced significant challenges, including antitrust scrutiny, debates over content moderation, and the impact of immigration and trade policies. The overall impact depended heavily on the individual company's market position, international presence, and specific challenges related to the political environment.